Today is Sunday, May 24th, 2026, and today is National Scavenger Hunt Day, which always sounds simple until you realize how much you don't know where anything actually is. Welcome to Wait, That's Random, This Day in History. I'm C.L. Burns, voice actor, audiobook narrator, and your guide through the moments where humanity somehow became both impressive and ridiculous simultaneously. On May 24th, 1940, Igor Sikorsky completed one of the first successful flights of a practical single-rotor helicopter. Flight itself wasn't new. Airplanes had already proven that. But this was different, because airplanes move forward. They require space, runways, momentum. A helicopter changes that. It can hover, lift straight up, hold position. And that shifts control. Because now movement isn't limited to forward motion. It becomes precise, adjustable, responsive in a way that hadn't existed before. That kind of control opens new possibilities. Rescue, transport, access to places that weren't reachable before. Sometimes progress isn't about going faster. It's about being able to stop. And sometimes what changes isn't movement, but who gets to decide it. On May 24th, 1993, Eritrea officially became independent from Ethiopia after decades of conflict. But this wasn't a sudden change. For years, Eritrea had been part of Ethiopia, after earlier periods of colonial control and shifting governance. And over time, that led to a long struggle over who controlled the region. Not a single moment, not one decision, but years of resistance, conflict, and pressure building underneath the surface, until it finally reached a point where a vote took place, and independence was recognized. That's the moment tied to this date. But what makes it stand out isn't just the result, it's how long it took to get there. Because when something builds over that much time, the momentum it changes doesn't feel sudden. It feels earned. Sometimes control doesn't shift all at once. It builds quietly, until it finally does. And sometimes that control moves in the opposite direction. On May 24th, 2004, North Korea banned the use of most mobile phones across the country. Communication had started to expand. Access was increasing. And then it stopped. Not because the technology failed, but because it was restricted. And that's what makes this moment stand out, because it shows how quickly something can be limited once it starts to spread. Sometimes progress isn't reversed gradually. It's shut down all at once. And once that happens, everything becomes more controlled again. And sometimes control shows up in a completely different way. Tommy Chong was born on May 24th, 1938. He became known as part of the comedy duo Cheech and Chong, helping define a style of humor built around counterculture, timing, and character. What makes it work wasn't just the subject matter. It was the delivery. Laid back, unforced, consistent. He didn't rush the moment. He let it happen. And that gave the comedy its rhythm. Over time, that approach became recognizable on its own. Sometimes what makes something work isn't control in the strict sense. It's knowing when not to force it. At first, these don't seem connected, but they start to line up. A machine allows precise control. A nation gains it. And a system removes it. Different directions, but all centered around who or what gets to decide how things move. Anyway, that was the strange trail May 24th ended up taking me down. So before I go, here's today's wonderful human quote. People can be divided into three groups: those who make things happen, those who watch things happen, and those who wonder what happened. Nicholas Murray Butler. If you'd like to explore more of my narration work, projects, or general historical wandering, you can find it all at waitthat'srandom.com. I'm C.L. Burns, and I appreciate you stopping by the timeline for a while. I'll see you tomorrow.